And we're going to see Caleb Scherer, the Storm Master.
All right.
On Blue-Red Storm, of course.
Versus Sultai Death's Shadow. So I know you play some Shadow here. Normally we see Grixis. Tell me a bit about Sultai.
The draws of Sultai going to be Tarmogoyf as just another large creature. Takes a little bit less setup than Gurmag Angler is kind of the argument there. You're less vulnerable to specific types of Graveyard 8. The exiling ones are still going to get you, but just a 2-mana creature is nice. Frequently you'll see a Traverse the Ovenwald package, but that does not appear to be available in this list.
We'll start things out with a bauble from Matthew. He's playing Matthew Brown years, and then Serum Visions.
Couple Abrupt Decays in the main deck. That'll be what we're seeing on the green splash. Tarmogoyfs and Abrupt Decays.
Yeah, okay, so I guess those will play fine in this matchup, right? Tarmogoyf's decent against a Storm deck. It's a good clock.
Tarmogoyf's large. Abrupt Decay not being able to be remanded can matter against Baral and Goblin Electromancer. Costing 2 also matters, but we'll see exactly how it plays out.
Caleb just lands and lands on passing for the first 2 turns. No cantrips, no fetches. Likely a remand or something of the sort.
Mm-hmm. Given that there are a few more 2-mana effects in the deck, my estimation would be that Grixis Shadow is a little bit better against Storm than Sultai Shadow is.
Right, the red cards you're giving up. I mean, certainly Temur Battle Rage, if you're playing any in your Grixis deck, is very good in this matchup.
It's not really even so much the red cards. It's just that Gurmag Angler is usually only going to cost you 1 mana, whereas Tarmogoyf is going to cost you 2.
Okay.
Tapping low, it's a huge liability in this matchup.
We're going to see Thoughtseize from Matthew Brown. So let's take a look at the holdings for Caleb. We have 2 Grape Shots, 2 Desperate Rituals, an Electromancer, and a land.
This hand is good for a lot of damage. That double Grape Shot.
Right.
Probably just have to take the mana creature here, though. You're leaving a lot of damage behind if you don't take one of the Grape Shots.
And you're playing Death's Shadow, so Matthew's already at 11. He has to be careful here.
Yeah, resolving this Thoughtseize, is that putting him to 9?
No, it's putting him to 11.
That's what's putting him to 11? Okay, we already accounted for that. Yeah, I believe that's what puts him at 11. We see Fetch, Shock, Thoughtseize, Street Wraith.
All right.
It's going to be between a Grape Shot and the Electromancer.
Depends if he has a Fatal Push in hand too. There, he will take a Grape Shot.
Mm-hmm.
He has a Death Shadow now. I'm interested if he's going to make it here now that he's seen the Caleb's hand. Looks like the answer is yes. So a 2/2 Shadow right now. Should be decent for Caleb. He has a pretty easy answer here. Electromancer just into Grape Shot removes this.
Yeah, he has the answer. That is a significant use of his resources. Once he's out that Grape Shot, the leftover is just those 2 rituals plus whatever he drew this turn.
Yeah, he drew Remand.
Remand not really an all-star in this matchup.
No, but with Grape Shot, you can do some fancy things.
Yeah. There is a strong argument for getting the Death Shadow off the table. He has a little bit of time to play with, though, and the Remand is going to be worth more if he's able to convert it on the Grape Shot. If there's no removal spell, if Caleb can untap with this Electromancer, draw like a Manamorphose, you might see a combo turn.
And Caleb passed. So Matthew shocks down to 9 attacks, and this is going to be really interesting because we're at the tension of damage versus burn here. You see Abrupt Decay on the Electromancer. Can Caleb burn for 9?
Mm-hmm. And with the leftovers, Caleb's hand doesn't amount to much. Can currently Grape Shot for 3, but there's some draws that break that open.
I think that's Baral. That could be good.
He needs another blue mana. If he had a land drop to go with this, you could Ritual, Grape Shot, have Remand left, play the Grape Shot again. He needs to untap with the Baral with the way it's set up.
Yeah, Matthew's left up Stubborn Denial too, and now at the Shadow's a 4/4, it's just a negate.
Yeah, and that's going to be able to tag the Remand.
So Baral and a pass from Caleb. Yeah, he left up Remand last turn. Unfortunately for him, Matthew's spell was Abrupt Decay.
Mm-hmm. And really, most of what's happening in these Shadow decks is just going to be able to recast. If it was a Fatal Push there, Matthew could just cast again.
Matthew fetching to 8. Okay, not shocking to 6. Just going to keep it at 8. Good.
Yeah.
But even now, like a 1 damage chip in from Baral is not irrelevant. Here's Serum Visions from Matthew Brown.
I believe one of the cards in his hand is a Tarmogoyf, so he'll be trying to get that online. That would be a juicy target for the remand, though.
Yeah. Matthew would really have to decide if he wants to Stubborn Denial back on it.
Right. And from there, there's some sequences of draws that could afford Caleb a lethal Grape Shot on the following turn once Brown is tapped out. That Stubborn Denial, it represents an answer to that remand on the Grape Shot. If that action is forced, though, Caleb can come out ahead in that exchange. Attack for 5. Caleb's going to take that. Tarmogoyf is deployed. Now there's that question, does Caleb want to hold the remand just to go for his Grape Shot? And that is what he decides to do. It's going to be worth more damage. Ooh, and I want to say that the draw was Past in Flames.
Okay.
So, 3 mana here, 2 rituals. That's good for 7 mana. Caleb's going to do some quick counting here. And there was a thumbs up. I don't know if that was a confirming life total thumbs up or an, oh, I have a combo.
Yeah, we'll see which. Here's Desperate Ritual from Caleb, getting out the counters.
So as it stands, if he goes Ritual, Grape Shot, he'll still have 6 mana afforded. He can cast Past in Flames for 3 and leave up Remand. And he has some mana left over. It looks like he's done it. Once he resolves Past in Flames, he gets the Grape Shot for a bunch because he still has that other Grape Shot in the graveyard.
Two rituals from Caleb up to 5. Pretty high confidence here. Here's Past in Flames, and now it's protected by the remand.
Yes.
You can Stubborn Deny it if you want, but that's not going to play here. So that increases the turn when Caleb remands. Now he's a bit short on mana still.
I think he's good here. You ran the
we meant the Stubborn Down.
Yeah, he's not remanding his own spell.
Okay. Right, so now we're here. Ritual's back up to 6. Ritual's up to Grape Shot and cast a Grape Shot from his hand. That's just the one from the yard. It's worth 8. Either way you count it, the Storm is going to succeed here. Caleb takes game 1.
Yeah, and that's a situation where Matthew really would need access to multiple Stubborn Denials or another discard spell.
So, Ryan, how big was the Tarmogoyf at the end there?
Instant sorcery, creature, land.
Was it just a 4/5? It wasn't a 5/6. No, there was artifact. There was Bauble.
He did draw Bauble. Okay.
So Caleb just stormed. No, hold on. Caleb just stormed to 8, and we had a 5/6 Tarmogoyf, and Caleb is an invitational winner.
Oh wow!
And that is all 3 in a row. That is the entire M column.
You have done.
We are on the board with a bingo.
Seems that
all 3 squares in one game.
You've been studying my strategies.
Strategy to get really lucky. Jeez.
That's how you bingo. Well played.
Wow. On a winning streak. Streak of 1.
1.3. Yeah, that draw
there we go.
Too.
Yeah.
Frankly, I am embarrassed.
Wow. Let's look at the sideboards here.
All right, on Caleb Scheerer's side, you saw him take game 1, and for his sideboard, he has 4 pieces of the puzzle, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Empty the Warrens, a Giga Grouse, a Shattering Spree, and a Braid, an Echoing Truth, a Peer Through Depths, and a Wipe Away. This is definitely a matchup where little Grape Shots and little Empty the Warrens can amount to just the whole game. You don't have to deal that much damage.
So that means you want more, you want the 2 empties then? Do you want Lightning Bolts? Are we going that far?
Lightning Bolt might be a little much. It doesn't actually tag any of the creatures. It can help on your Grape Shot turns. The card I really like, though, is Pieces of the Puzzle. It really sets you up. If you only have to Grape Shot for a little, if you only have to empty for so many goblins, Pieces is going to set you up really nicely to do that.
Right. And you're going to move away from, I guess, cards like Remand in this matchup, or is that fine?
Some small number seems fine, but moving off completely or at least shaving is going to be really good. The Death Shadow deck is really flush with 1 mana points of interaction.
All right, now on Matthew Brown's side sideboard, 3 copies of Liliana, Collective Brutality, and Ceremonious Rejection. It's a lot of Liliana for a sideboard to have. Don't think we'll see them here. 2 Bantu's Last Reckoning, a Dispel. He has the 4th Stubborn Denial, an Abrupt Decay, and a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
The Dispel and the Stubborn Denial, they both play pretty well here.
Yeah. Do you play, is Collective Brutality something you want in this matchup? To try to, like, more discard, or that's not what it's about?
Additional discard does help you. You're almost never going to end up in that dream scenario that you think about where you get to hit in a Goblin Electromancer and also get a look at the hand. But that look at the hand, that does amount to something. In particular, when you get up to 3 mana, discard effect, plus hold up Dispel or Stubborn Denial, that's a big deal. And you don't really love Fatal Push in this matchup.
Right.
You get to tag the mana creatures. When you're Sultai, you don't have the luxury of having access to Lightning Bolt, which is kind of worth leaving in, where Fatal Push is kind of asking a lot. I want to move off of, he has a main deck Vapor Snag, a couple Dismembers, a couple Abrupt Decay. That kind of stuff doesn't really work here. A little too mana inefficient, a little too particular about what you want to do with it.
Yeah, and so we did see in that spot, even then, Tarmogoyf not, I don't know, you're right, the green card's not selling too hard in this matchup. But in a lot of ways, yeah, just playing like a straight deck. Neither the green nor the red cards in this matchup seem to matter too much.
Yeah, the blue and the black shell, they are really important. The biggest thing is the difference between Gurmag Angler and Tarmogoyf.
Right.
On average, I do believe that Gurmag Angler is better.
Well, we're seeing that in Legacy too, right? Even in Delver decks and Legacy. Just a lot of these Tarmogoyf decks are kind of finding that if you want a cheap vanilla creature, Gurmag Angler is just a better Magic card.
Yeah. It's really funny. Gurmag Angler hit the scene at the same time as Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time, or approximately the same time. So for a while, it was tough to discover. But then when Gurmag Angler started seeing play, it's only gotten a bigger share of metagames as time has progressed.
Well, and even when it first started seeing play, most people thought it was the bad Tasigur. Or it's been a couple months where, you'd see like a split of them, or maybe like 3 Tasigurs, 1 Angler, and then I feel like as we've gone over time, they really have switched positions, whereas now I don't even see a Tasigur very often.
It was true for a while in Modern. Certainly in Legacy, Caracas was always a difference maker. He was pretty much Gurmag Angler immediately. In Modern, there was a while where at least Mana Leak was worth playing, at least more worthwhile than it is now, where the format is really about, there's a lot of Cavern of Souls, good amount of Tron, so having counterspells is not very inviting to have available right now, at which point, why do you care that Tasigur has an ability?
Right.
You can control 2 Gurmag Anglers. That's really what it comes down to. It's a 5/5 instead of a 4/5, so it's a 4-turn clock instead of a 5-turn clock. That stuff can really matter a lot.
A mulligan here on Matthew Brown's side. See if 6 is good enough, though. Neil, keep, and scry it to the top. Remember, both Caleb here, 5-0. He's off 3 buys. The other half of the Storm team, Paul Mahler, also 5-0.
They're just never going to put this deck down. There's just no way.
I mean, they'd have to get banned. Then they'd do it. Not even.
No.
What did you ban?
They would have to literally ban Grape Shot, I think.
Well, you could play it with Bushwhacker and Empty, and it's still probably...
Yeah.
like if you banned both, you'd have to ban Empty, too.
Yeah, it'd have to be like a Pauper-esque approach where they just ban all the cards with Storm.
I mean, then the question would be like, okay, can we play Ignite Memory? Like...
Dragon Storm.
Serum Vision's turn 1 here for Brown.
Off of Basic Island.
Okay, yeah.
Some concern over the life total. And that is something that you are able to do with Sultai. If you just have a turn 2 Tarmogoyf, you can sit back on your life total a little bit, not pressure yourself, not leave yourself too exposed to Grape Shots. Sort of true of Gurmag Angler, though the fact that it's more easily accessible on turn 2. But as you see, a second Serum Visions here, Matthew does not have that turn 2 Tarmogoyf.
Second land here for Caleb. And pass back, no threats just yet. Bantu's Last Reckoning boarded in from Matthew Brown. That's a lot of respect for Empty the Warrens.
Yeah, he's decided that he doesn't want to end up in a position where some Goblin tokens are made and he doesn't have an answer to them.
Do you normally board that in this matchup?
I think a card like Bantu's Last Reckoning, it really has to shake out so that not only are you cleaning up the goblin tokens, but also Caleb is just out of stuff.
Right.
He has to use his whole hand because you don't get to untap. You destroy all of your own creatures as well. This is not something like an Is It Static Caster that it's relatively low maintenance. It cleans up the empty tokens. It only costs you one of your cards.
Right.
It's going to clean up all of your pressure, and it's also going to stop you from doing anything on Caleb's following turn where he might be able to set up a Past in Flames.
And Matthew, Overgrown Tomb tapped. And it's not just that. He also has the second Bantu's Last Reckoning in his hand.
Ooh. And when it comes to Grixis Shadow, we've seen some movement towards playing Faithless Looting. That's not an option for the Sultai Shadow deck, and those are just going to be stuck in Brown's hand. If not the first copy, certainly the second.
Yeah, there's not going to be a game where the second one matters.
Right.
I guess if the first one gets... I was going to say gets countered, but Caleb doesn't play counters. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, just the remans, which...
All right.
Whatever.
And Caleb's here now just very conservatively making land drops under no pressure. We'll see a Thoughtseize from Brown. We'll get our first glance at Caleb's hand. Pieces of the puzzle. Pieces of the puzzle number 2. Peer Through Depths, Echoing Truth, Manamorphose Ritual, and a 4th land. This is an excellent hand.
And I like that Caleb was waiting here on Pieces of the Puzzle. He had a 3rd land there, but he's waiting to just play around having to pay only 1 for Stubborn Denial.
Well, he has 7 cards. Why cast a Pieces yet? You don't want to discard.
Yep, that's also going on there, too. Plenty of time to wait.
To begin our 6 p.m. Hopper Turbo event. If you would like to play in a one-round Hopper tournament...
This hand is pretty tough to Thoughtseize. Once you take something out, it's pretty easy for Caleb to just play land, cast Pieces of the Puzzle. Pieces is the most high-impact card in the hand. There are 2 copies, but you can take 1 anyway, and that's what Matthew does.
And Matthew follows up with Tarmogoyf here. Caleb deciding if he wants to end-step Peer Through Depths. Tarmogoyf currently a 3/4.
Peer is a little bit more worthwhile playing into Stubborn Denial. Yeah, Caleb's going to fire it off.
Manamorphose in the top 5. That's not a bad one. See if he found something better. He did empty the Warrens. Now Matthew at the ready with not 1 but 2 copies of Bantu's Last Reckoning. It will hit his own Tarmogoyf.
And Matthew's played this game in a way where he has not done that much damage to itself.
Right.
Cast that Thoughtseize, a couple fetch lands. He's still at 16. So Caleb will have to make a pretty big empty for that to really matter.
And he might. Here's Desperate Ritual. So Matthew Brown might get to convert that Bantu's Last Reckoning. See, Caleb grabs for the storm counters. Now, is Caleb going to full combo here? That's a good question. Drew Opt for the turn. Second spell, Manamorphose into some blue mana.
If he just chains some Manamorphoses, then he can make a good amount of goblins while still maintaining Pieces of the Puzzle in hand.
Right. He'll Opt.
And the thing about it is all these cards go to the graveyard. If he can find a Past in Flames, he can reset in a pretty big way from here, even after getting hit by that Bantu's Last Reckoning.
Pyretic Ritual, the card there for Caleb. And empty the Warrens. So, it's going to be 8 goblins for Scherer.
And I like that he did hang on to that Pyretic Ritual that he picked up. Currently, he doesn't have a mana creature. Part of the game plan very likely is going to involve Past in Flames. Right now, these goblins, they're going to enter combat with Tarmogoyf, maybe some other creature, and that ritual could be important to actually getting to Past in Flames with mana left over to flashback rituals.
Swing with Tarmogoyf from Matthew. Caleb takes the damage, and then Bantu's Last Reckoning's cast post-combat. So this was the plan from Matthew as his answer to empty, and now we'll see if it actually works, because he's going to have to wait a while Caleb reloads.
And Caleb's hand has gotten a little bit gummed up. See, land was drawn for the turn. He already had this land drop set up here.
Piece of the puzzle. Well, it's going to find another pieces, and either an Opt or a Ritual. We'll see which one Caleb wants.
The old wish for more wishes.
Never mind seeing that. At this point, I feel like Caleb is just digging for that Past in Flames.
Right. And he has that Echoing Truth that he's hanging out with. Matthew Brown's not going to be untapping his lands on the following turn.
Right.
Even if we get in a situation where Caleb can't combo the following turn, if he wants to have a good Stubborn Denial, he's going to need to be able to get multiple creatures that can play into this Echoing Truth with different names, or set up with multiple Stubborn Denials.
Opt to the bottom for Caleb. Draws into Grape Shot.
Not a bad one.
And Matthew draws a Bauble. Nothing else. He'll check his own top card. Matthew also has a Thoughtseize. May want to Thoughtseize away that pieces that Caleb found. But he does not. He'll pass.
Representing having a counterspell, though, really it's going to be between Stubborn Denial and Dispel. Both of those things, as we see pieces of the puzzle dispel available for Caleb, pretty able to play through.
Yeah, and Caleb drew the 4th pieces for the turn as well, so he's just going to get to cast 2 pieces this turn, refill his hand completely. Once you let the Storm player drop to critical mass again, a card like Thoughtseize isn't going to do too much.
Right. Yeah, in this configuration, Matthew has not brought any graveyard hate to the table.
Yeah, that's what I was going to wonder. If there was something like a Nile Spellbomb to clean this up, Matthew could, I think, would be fine with all of this. But if he doesn't, Caleb's just making land drops every turn. Eventually, he'll start finding cards like copies of Past in Flames.
Yeah. And when it comes to playing blue-black X decks against Storm, frequently that graveyard hate is an important element of the game plan. If you can't produce a clock in addition to disrupting hand and what have you, you saw that Brown was able to deal with the goblins off of Empty the Warrens, but this graveyard is just stocked and ready to go. And there's Past in Flames.
All right, there we go. And it looks like Unsubstantiate also found. And Caleb's just going to put the Past in Flames in the graveyard, and why not?
Yeah, he still has it later. And Caleb doesn't know if there's graveyard hate or not. And the thing about it is leaving Past in Flames in hand is not really worthwhile if there's graveyard hate available. And if not, Past in Flames is in the graveyard, you can flash it back.
Yeah, it's the same as leaving a Ritual in your hand. It gives you 1 mana for the turn to play it from hand rather than from graveyard. That's not very much.
Right.
Having Unsubstantiate to fight a counter war seems a lot better.
And there's usually not that much in the way of counter magic from a Death Shadow deck that isn't specifically Stubborn Denial. And until Matthew Brown produces a ferocious creature, Caleb's not too worried about Stubborn Denial.
So we'll take a look at Caleb's hand. It's 7 cards. We have Grape Shot, 2 copies of Lightning Bolt, Echoing Truth, Serum Visions, Pyretic Ritual, and Unsubstantiate.
Not a terribly thought-seizable hand.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can take any of these. That's fine. You'll take the Unsubstantiate.
Unsubstantiate can fight over some kind of counter spell, whereas Echoing Truth cannot. Might be the best take here, looking at Serum Visions potentially as an alternative, though really the Thoughtseize just isn't going to be very good. That's the long and short of it. Looks like a Fatal Push in addition to that second Bantu's Last Reckoning available in Matthew's hand. Even makes his land drop this turn. He's got a whole lot of air. Then Caleb not only just heavier on resources, but still just has time to set up that combo.
Yeah, it's not... I agree. There's just no pressure.
The thing he is most pressured by is the theoretical existence of a graveyard hate card.
You're right. And here's Collective Brutality, escalated by discarding Fatal Push. Matthew will drain Caleb for 2. And he'll get to take another card. He took the Grape Shot on the first one, and now he takes Pyretic Ritual. So Bolt, Unsubstantiate, Echoing Truth, Serum Visions. None of these cards are particularly good, but because there's no pressure, it just doesn't matter yet.
Getting rid of that Ritual means that Caleb does need another mana to get going with Past in Flames.
But he drew it.
He'd be playing into Stubborn Denial here.
So maybe you just don't?
Yeah.
I agree.
He also just has Serum Vision, so he can set up. Though the one thing counting against that is being concerned again about that theoretical graveyard hate card.
Land 7 from Caleb. Right, because your concern is that if he goes Flashback Past in Flames for 5, cast Pyretic Ritual, and then there's a counter spell. Then he lost his Past in Flames.
Right. Yeah, because he had discarded it previously.
He's going to go for it. Spell 1. Spell 2 is a ritual, and now that it resolves, you see Caleb knows that the coast is clear.
He's going to cast a lot of spells from here.
All those. See all those things? All of them. They have flashback.
Yeah, it's a big stack.
Yeah, I was going to draw out all the rituals. Pyretics up to 4 red. Desperate up to 5 red. That's it for rituals.
I just hope that this does not end in Caleb making goblins again.
Oh no! Caleb up to Manamorphoses into red and blue, into some blue mana. He already has a grape shot in hand and a grape shot in the yard. He doesn't need, and with those bolts in his hand, this might just be a situation where we can go bolt.
Lightning bolt at 12, and then he's already at Storm 6, and the 2 grape shots are
bolt,
just lethal.
Shot. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Be no fun if Caleb did that, though. He'll cast Sleight of Hand. He still has bolt, grape shot here.
And he found a ritual here, too.
Right, so he can go back up and make that play again. Pyretic Ritual, sure. At this point, he was just looking at bolt, grape shot. But here's spell 7. It's Desperate Ritual. This is going to work.
Yeah, now bolt gives him to a point where the storm on the first grape shot is lethal.
Spell 8 is a lightning bolt. Matthew's at 12. Spell 9 is a lightning bolt. Matthew's at 9. Well, that makes it seem like this grape shot in the graveyard's lethal. Spell 10. Shoot you with it, leaving a mana up for Stubborn Denial. Matthew shows a Bontus. That doesn't work. And Caleb Scherer is going to win this one 2-0 over Matthew Brown.
Yeah, definitely a clinic there. Caleb Scherer playing against a blue deck. He has certainly played against Death Shadow variants plenty of times. That will not be the last, and that pieces of the puzzle strategy. Certainly these builds that have 4 copies. The deck is